So I've been sat up this seat for probably half an hour calling, and we've had Munjo barking all around us. A little Rodo got up and walked away. So I changed my calling completely, and I thought I'd try and call a kid call to try and bring a doe in. So this buck that's come in, it could be quite deceptive because I initially thought he was a young buck. He's got a poor head and certainly a cull buck for us, but he's got like a battered ear, and his demeanour wasn't that of a young buck, so he wasn't acting like a young buck, and we had to be very careful. He kept looking back. I kept calling him. He went off into some long nettles, and I managed to coax him back out, and then I managed to get the shot, obviously, but he's either young or frail, and I think it's probably the latter. He hasn't got a lot of weight on him, but he's got a reasonably strong neck from what I just saw, but that's just a fleeting glimpse. You know, I was trying to concentrate on calling him and getting him presenter shot. A lot of people ask us, what is a cull buck? I think that was one of our questions on our social media last week. Well, a cull buck's anything that we want off the place. So on different areas that we have, if we're trying to keep trophy bucks and get strong bucks, then we want young, good quality 6-pointers that are in good shape to grow on and carry on that shape. If they're poor, and I would hopefully good strong 4-pointer with a wide head I'd probably keep, but spikers below their ears I would shoot them, as a rule of thumb, not all the time, but as a rule of thumb. So on other pieces of ground we have to shoot the deer literally as we see them, so we don't have the opportunity to manage them to trophies, to be strong deer. It's just a matter of keeping the numbers down, so it depends on the ground. But this is an adequate cull buck for sure. He's got a poor head, and he's either a 2-year-old youngster from a fleeting glimpse, but his demeanour was that of an old buck, and I'm hoping it's an old buck, and we've got something towards the end of his life, and he came very, very slowly. It took us half an hour of calling, changing my calls, and he's probably been brought down by a doe call, but by that time I'd gone onto a kid feet to try and fetch a doe down with the buck with it. But early days of rut, so it's all good fun, unreliable, unpredictable, but good fun. A result, happy with that, eh, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
But it came right in front of us, and we both sort of like, I was looking behind me, and I just said to Dan, he's here.
I filmed him on my phone.
Oh, did you get him on your phone? No, so anyway, he was right in front of us, so we just got to sit still there. I don't normally call from an IC, but it's such a nice piece, and the ground rises away. You actually are looking on their level when they come down the bank. But so good start, really. First one of the week. Well, looking at what I've got, I think he's an old boy. Look, no ear. What's happened there? That's probably a bite off a big dog. I'll say that, but ripped it on a fence or whatever, but it's about the same size as me. I must have bitten his ear off during the cull. Went to cull. Anyway, look at that. So his antlers are right down onto his head. Let's have a look at his... Oh, Dan, look. He's got quite a bad tooth decay there. And let me just have a feel. Oh yeah, his teeth have got a lot of wear. I can't show you without cutting that. But another thing to look for in the rut is feel their spine, and this looks like that on the back. So he's a little old man, bless him, which is a really good one to take. I'm sure he's been better. Little 4-pointer with these swept back, sharp, pointy antlers. I bet he's still got a fight in him, but any tick infestation? No, nice and clean. So a really good one to take. He was 25 metres from the high seat, and he came out of this long grass. I coaxed him out, and I've at that distance I'm pretty confident, so I just shot him in the neck. Yeah, that's a nice start to the evening, and we've got a few hours left, so I'll quickly get him cleaned out. The vehicle's only a couple hundred yards away, so we'll get him down and pick him up. And yeah, good one to take, really good one. I wouldn't have minded if he was a youngster, but to shoot an old buck, especially in the rut, he's probably already covered his doe, is also a good one as well. So really pleased with that.
Well, welcome to another episode with Service UK.
My goodness.
Just as I hit the button to record this episode, the heavens opened, a summer rain.
That'll be all right.
You're saying we should cut the cameras, but I'm saying come on, let's persevere.
Big lads.
This is a little bit of a different episode. We thought, obviously, every year we kind of get questions about the rut specifically, calling, tips, where to call, what to call.
Should you be out in the rain?
Should you be out in the rain?
Shouldn't be out in the rain at my
your age.
I'm going to get pneumonia.
So, I obviously asked you guys on Instagram, on the YouTube community page, basically get your questions in, and that we will have a bit of a panel, kind of Q&A to discuss.
Right.
So I've picked out a few of my favourites, and
I'm having the feeling of a Rishi Sunak speech here, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And we're going to start with, when is the best time to call? Morning, afternoon, or evening, or a mix of all?
Me personally, I like to call, if you could say, after breakfast, so like between 9 and 11. I would call before breakfast, but if I'm going to go back for a special book, it'd probably be sort of like 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Then sort of like perhaps after lunch, middle of the afternoon, and then probably no later than 7 o'clock in an evening. And yeah, that's my rule of thumb, but you know, we've called books at all of the times, and as I've said many occasions, the rut's not reliable. It can rely on temperature, it can rely on you know, humidity. So if this is just a little right spot, it's about 19, 20 degrees still. So as soon as this finishes, they can be up and running. So we'll probably stop out a bit later this evening. But yeah, so that's the rule of thumb.
Yeah, I always say, oh, you know, when it's raining, then maybe that they're not running, but it was actually early, an hour ago, we kind of jumped in the car as it started raining, as we were calling, and then I looked over a few fields away, we saw a buck, you know, running over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
It can be, can't it?
So the next one, which spots are most promising when you don't know the bedding area in open agricultural land with hedges? So what you know?
The guy, who's asking the question? Who's the guy?
Hang on. Good question. Who is asking the question?
Is he in the UK? So farmland for me, if you haven't got deep forest or anything like that, if you've got open farmland, I'd find an area where they'd lie up during the day. It can be warm at this time of the year, and then they'll generally come out and run if it's a little bit of, you know, it's not super bright hot sunshine, but you know, if it gets a little bit dull, a little bit flat, then they'll be out. You know what I mean? This is perfect now. After this rain, humidity will go up, and that'll get them going hopefully. So I would try and find myself, you know, a shelter belt, a strip of trees, something just behind us the same, and then find a field where we've got a bit of a view, and then try and call down across that, you know, to an area where you can lie up. Game crops and stewardship schemes are really good this time of the year. They're lying there under a hedge in a bit of shade, and you can coax them out like that. So that's what I would say.
Okay. And can you overcall?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, and I probably do. We're busy trying to create content, shoot deer, look at books, play with books. To, you know, ones we don't think we're going to shoot that year. It doesn't matter if they come in close. We've had one in today, haven't we, that came, I was calling a bank and he just popped up to our right hand side, and you know, so we just carried on calling him. We've got no real intention for him this year, just a nice young 6-pointer. So yeah, you can overcall them, and I think perhaps the biggest mistake when I've been out with guys and watched them call, is if there's nothing happening in 10 minutes, they pack up. You know, that buck we called last night, over half an hour. Not constant calling.
It's quite easy to get disheartened, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just change your calls. You know, I use a variety of calls, but on one day, one might fetch it. Last night, I was using a bouteille for distance up a bank into some, you know, a big piece of woodland, and then that didn't work. So I changed to like a turn screw, a FPU, a cherry wood, we'd call it. That wasn't any good. And then I moved to the Loschmieder, which is a very high. Really, this old buck, he'd come down and he came really tentatively, didn't run in, walked in, frayed in front of us. So yeah, you know, just play around. You know, the ruts, you know, nothing typical. There's nothing guaranteed. You know, so try different calls, and you know, don't just go with the bouteille. You know, if you can, and take 2 or 3 with you and have a play with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I tend to get really disheartened because over this period of like 3 weeks, we'll have days where you only have to put your lips on that call and they'll come charging in, and that's me. I'm like on the camera, and then you'll have it like last night where you think nothing's happening, and after half an hour,
and it can be. It can also depend on the book and what's happening in, you know, in the environment. It's very early days. What's it? 20. You know, last week we called 2 bucks in, and we wouldn't have said even the rut was on, but it definitely was. You know, wasn't particularly hot or anything, and I was expecting to perhaps call a few cull bucks, you know, young yearlings in, and get a bit of interest. Nothing. Everything that came was, you know, relatively mature, and it's packed up. And then this week we've called some, you know, called some mature boys and an old boy as well. So I'm hoping now we're starting to really get into the rut, and the rut can go on and off. You know, it isn't flat out for 3 weeks. They can't do that. You know, a buck will serve the doe he's with, that he's been with all since the spring, and then he'll go off and look for another, or a doe. The doe that's been served will go off and find, you know, she'll clow off with the kids and keep out the way, and another doe may come and find that buck. You know, especially if he's a good, strong, dominant buck, that's the gene she wants, not a little yearling, and she'll go and fetch him back to her territory. And we've had that before, where we've got bucks and we've left them for the rut. The word unreliable I'll keep using. We think we're going to get this big lad in front of a client, and he's already done his stuff and gone. He's been fetched off, and we found him the other side of the farm or the forest or the wood, or we haven't found him at all in a lot of cases. So.
And this is my question. Richard Pryor used to talk about the false rut. What is that? What does he actually reference in there?
It's probably a discussion in the start of September. So for the does that haven't been covered, or last year's late fawns can be, you know, just a year old, they'll perhaps come into a rut, and you can see rutting activity in September. Nothing like you see now. But you can definitely see a little bit of rutting activity. We normally see it each year, September time. You know, you'll just see a buck very close to a doe. He's had a month to get a bit more coal on board, fatten up after he's been running his does, and then he'll cover the young doe, or the doe that's not has not been covered during the, you know, the typical rut at the end of July, beginning of August.
Besides the bouteille, the mighty bouteille, what is your favourite call?
Oh, my favourite call's the one that calls them in. So I really whittle my calls down. I use a bouteille for distance, and a bouteille is the most, for people who haven't got a lot of experience, and those are people I'm probably speaking to. A bouteille is always good, but you have to you have to think how you're going to call. Your bouteille will make a variety of calls, from a kid, and you cover over I've got one on me. Well, I've left the bulbs in the car, but anyway, so this has a bulb over it, and you cover your hand over it, and you can get a variety of calls for it. You'll see other films on our YouTube channel where I've done this before, or you can get real distance. Oh, book. No. Anyway, or you can cover it up. just little doe calls. So it's a really good one to have, and that'll work on muntjac as well in the autumn and sort of like the spring.
I think it's certainly something we want to cover in a lot more detail.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
the
but
workshop
again, it's
video.
hard. We can talk about it on the camera. It's for the guys to go out and practice, but you know, you just have to be, you know, if the rut's in full stink, you'll get one. They'll come to that, no bother. I always use you just said Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor had his own call, which was like a copy of a German call. We all called it a cherrywood, Roebucks cherrywood, and that was always his favourite. And it was just a wood with a reed in it. This is a variety of that. It's got a little turn screw on the top. You know, the more open it is, the more turned out it is, the more raspy and dough it is. So you get like a quack, you know, and you can turn that right down to a kid feet. Little pants like a little kid, distressed kid, and they're in between as well. And that's really good also on muntjac again in the winter. Get a little that call that can be very good for bringing muntjac in. That's called Feepew. Dan will put it up on the screen so you can see. That's a German call. You can get them on Amazon. Great, and as I probably said before, I like it more than the Roebucks one because it's got, when you're busy, you're trying to perhaps get a client into position or whatever, your hands can be free and you can still. And yeah, so Feepew, and then there's Lochschmieder's, another German call. Over there, this has been done by my good mate Bertie, and working with a guy called the guys at Lochschmieder, and that's just an open reed, very very typical style of German call, and that's quite a high call. It's good for distance as well. So you get and you control that by cupping your hand round, you know, you just have to play with it, that's all. Just check there's nothing behind us. And, so yeah, that's it. I use 3 really. I've got probably a dozen calls, and we'll play with those as well. But these are my staples really.
Yeah, and someone's asked, in what part of the UK are you hunting? And did the rut start yet? So it's 24th of July. Would you say the rut has started?
Yeah. I think we saw some activity tonight. That book came to the call. He was interested, middle-aged book. So I would definitely say the rut's on. It's probably been going for a week gently. Next week it's heating up, and that warmer temperature. You know, cold morning. I wouldn't stop in your bed till 6:30. Not get out there till 7 o'clock.
I like it about 8 o'clock.
It's If you look at our times for the books that we generally shoot, they're after 7 o'clock, aren't they? So I would say the rut's on, Dan, and but you know, some of the big lads we've shot, you know, if you look back at our films and what we do, many of them are August books. You know, we shoot them right out to the sort of like start of the grouse season, 12th, 14th. Anthony Coates shot that big one a couple of years back on the 14th. He come to the call, so so it's on as far as I'm concerned, and that's in the Oxfordshire, Berkshire, Buckinghamshire is where we've been seeing that action.
Yeah, and I would say probably the final question. Where is the best to call? In a field with plenty of views, with an open space, or in the woods, close quarters?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. It's the best place to call is where you know there's where there's deer, and Richard Price said on his old cassette about 30 years ago, you don't have to have deer stalking, you don't have to go into your local piece of woodland with your calls, you're not breaking any laws, and go and have a play, go and see what's going, have a look there. I mean, we've been calling all round our little peripheries before we kind of go and look for our target books, just to see what we get, try and get stuff on film for you guys. And so it's not really a good answer, but there's nothing more exciting than going into deep woodland and getting a buck right in front of you there. And it's also lovely to see them hopping across a crop or coming straight across a freshly cut stubble field. If you just get it right, it's just like cracking an egg. They come straight at you, and you sometimes can overcall, and you have to really manage them. So if they are coming, you better just stop calling, because you want a broadside shot and you don't want him right in your face, looking straight at you. So yeah, that's it's not really an answer, because both, it's whatever you've got. You know, just do your recon before, you know, in the spring. Find out where your bucks are, or if you've got an idea where bucks are, you can go look for the signs like scrapes and you know, fraying in compartments within your woodland, and go and stand on one of them. That's what I always go and do. Try and find a scrape or a bit of fraying, and when you start calling, that buck will know that that's the corner of his territory where he's marked, and he'll come straight out to see what's right on the edge of his boundary. So.
But like you said, it's one of those times of the year where you just can't rely on it.
Can't rely on it. Can be the most frustrating. Mm-hmm. You can get soaking wet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just stopping now, so that'd be good. So yeah, and both me and Dan, you know, all the guys that follow us, guys and gals who follow us and drop us these messages, we love it. You know, we're happy with any comments if we can help in any way. I'm only telling you what we do, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be the big I am. I've been calling for years, and last year you wouldn't think I'd ever called a deer in my life. We had a really frustrating rut. Nothing was coming, everything was going on at night. You know, that's when we went to our sort of trail cameras for the recon to see what was happening and when the deer were moving. And yeah, it was all going on at night last year, and nothing was really, I don't think it happened. But it happened very privately and discreetly. It wasn't full on, flat out, and it's very frustrating. But already we've had in the first week we've had a handful of bucks, and we've had a better rut this year than we had last year for getting content to share with you guys. So
yeah, so hopefully we can pick up some cool bucks.
Yeah, so. Stop this bloody filming and get out there.
Well, thanks guys for getting your questions in, and please let us know in the comments below, or wherever this video goes out on, and what experiences you're having in this rut, if you've ever called anything in.
Best of luck, yeah. So. Share it with us. We're always happy to see what you're getting and what you're doing, and you know, it's
yeah, we love it. So, well, we'll catch you in another video, guys.
All the best.
Take care.
And thanks for your following. Low power, if you're calling. It might be a buck coming running straight in and you're shooting at 20 metres, so it's no good having it on 12, 15 power. So I'm calling across a field that's about 150 metres across. I've got a field to set aside behind there, and the top end of this they've just harvested and baled. And I know we've got a good buck here, so oh, is that big lad? So he's a strong 6-pointer, but he's about 4. I kind of know he's here. We're probably not going to shoot him this year unless we're desperate. So he came like a train. You've just seen on the film it probably took him 3-4 minutes. I know he's in this area. Behind us on this back edge is all the fraying and the territory. This is his boundary, and yeah, it's quite impressive how he came, but mine and Dan's wind is going straight down there. So you saw it when he first came out, he came straight to us, and then, wise boy that he is, went down, caught our scent, and I couldn't do anything to stop him. But I don't think he really knew what we were. He didn't actually physically see us. So fortnight's time, might try it again. Be a nice one to come and photograph, Danny would. He's the buck that we saw in the spring over here, and we haven't been back since then. So we
got him on trail camera, haven't we?
Yeah, you got that. Got him on trail camera. We got him on anything. It's just a big 6, just under medal class, but he's
the one I photographed, isn't he? Where we did that film.
Yeah, he's the one you photographed. Yeah. And so looks a bit thinner in his summer coat, but still a very impressive buck, and definitely holding that. There's a little field just to the side of there, all birdseed, stewardship, and that's his place to live. So all good stuff. Couple of messages we've had on social media. I've always got orange earmuffs on, but I'm using SWAT comms. Fantastic. Been using them to clay shoot a bit. We did a sim day last week in them and had them on all day. Lovely, comfortable, British made, incredibly good quality, and real sound, real noise. When you're in the woodland, you can hear all the birds, you can turn them down, you can turn them up. I've been really impressed with this model. Dan will put up on the screen which model they are, because I'm old and I've forgotten, but it's their actives, and really impressed. Come in various colours, but I wanted the blaze ones for when I'm abroad on the driven hunts and I'm shooting without a sound moderator, but really pleased with those. So big plug there because I like them.